Welcome back again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Australia's Jai Opetaia defeats MAIRIS Briedes. A bit of a shocker for the IBF Cruiserweight title. No one saw this coming. I certainly didn't. Didn't know a thing about Opetaia. Had a look at his record before the fight with Briedes. Didn't recognise anyone. But, you know, sometimes fighters who are sort of known locally or known nationally even can sort of slide under the radar internationally. There's no doubt that, you know, Australia has a pretty good boxing heritage, and there were some good fighters. There have been some good fights in recent years. Tim Tszyu's coming up, and Kambosos scored that fantastic win last year, even though he lost to Devin Haney earlier this year. So perhaps we should pay more attention over in the UK and Europe to what goes on in Australia, because Jai Opetaia can fight. And the scorecards, it was a unanimous decision over Briedes, 116-112 twice and 115-113. Now, I scored this fight. I've only seen the fight once. I scored it as I watched it, and I made it a draw, all right, which I think it puts me in the minority. Most people think Opetaia won. I haven't heard anyone say they thought Briedes won. But no, I got to be honest. I watched it. Like I said, I watched it once. I scored it as I watched it, and I made it 114-114. Now, having said that, after 6 rounds, I had Opetaia 5-1 up. And the one I gave to Briedes, which I think was the second or third round, maybe. The third round? That could have gone either way. And then the second half of the fight, those 6 rounds, I gave 5 to Briedes. So it was, for me personally, it was literally a fight of 2 halves. You could draw it right down the middle. 115-113 in favour of Opetaia. I ain't got a problem with that. 116-112. 2 of the cards with those totals. I don't see that. I don't see that being an 8-4 fight. But yeah, you know, I think probably if you had a tiebreaker, if you had to choose, the way I do it is, if you've got such a close fight, or what I perceive to be a close fight, what I normally say to myself is, which fighter would I rather be at the end of the fight? And definitely, it's difficult to say, but I'm going to go into it in a bit more detail in a moment. But by the end of the fight, Opetaia was hanging on for dear life, and there was a reason for that. He had a busted jaw, and it was very pronounced. You could see his jaw was broken. He just couldn't close his mouth. And if this had been a 15-rounder, probably Briedes would have gone on to stop him, or he would have retired in his corner. But when the fight started, obviously Briedes was the red-hot favourite. And to be honest with you, Briedes, since he fought Usyk and lost the majority decision, he's 37 now. And I know hindsight is a luxury. Hindsight has 20/20 vision and all that business. But he lost to Usyk in 2018. Majority decision, and everyone said, oh, he gave Usyk his best fight, blah blah blah. Well, in the last 4 years, he's only fought 6 times, including the Opetaia fight, and he's picked up belts. But you know, you nailed Dorticus. He beat him in 2020. That was a majority decision. He had a very controversial fight with Krzysztof Glowacki, where I think it should have been, you could make a case for Briedes should have been disqualified there. And there was all sorts of shenanigans going on. There was a ridiculous fight in Latvia, Riga, which is where Briedes is from. But I just began to feel Briedes also talking about moving to heavyweight. There was all that nonsense about him wanting to fight Jake Paul. I began to think, maybe a year or 2 ago, the guy's not focused on what he should be focused on. He's not focused on what he should be doing. He's a cruiserweight champ. He should be looking to unify. He should be looking to rule the roost, not looking elsewhere for big paychecks. 37 years of age. He's not big enough for the heavyweight division either. I think he's about 6'1", physically very strong for that weight. But at heavyweight, definitely not. Definitely not. And I think probably he may have taken Jai Opetaia a little bit lightly. And maybe he's looking towards retirement. I don't know. But Opetaia took his opportunity. Opetaia is only 27, so he's 10 years younger than Briedes. When the fight started, Opetaia, southpaw, he was busy from the word go. Lots of jabs. Not I'd say 60% were missing. Not many landing, but he was certainly busier than Briedis, who seemed to be struggling in that first round with the southpaw stance, and couldn't find the range. But in the second round, he upped the pace a bit, Briedis, and he was getting closer to Opetaia, and but Opetaia was still doing very well, landing lots of, or firing lots of punches. Firing going backwards, actually, Opetaia. It wasn't running, but he was conceding the ground, sort of drawing in Briedis, and with the southpaw stance, trying to create problems for him with lots of long punches. I don't know how with Opetaia. I mean, before this fight he had 21 wins and 17 knockouts in those 21 wins, no defeats, no draws. But I don't know whether his punch, even though that suggests a heavy punch, I don't know whether it's sort of long power or whether he's ground people down, or he'd only ever done 10 rounds once before, so it was a big ask for him to do 12 rounds against such an established fighter. But in the second round, Briedis was getting a bit closer. And then in the third round, towards the end of that round, I think right at the end, maybe the last 30 seconds, for the first time, he really did land on Opetaia, and he didn't stun him badly, but he gave him something to think about. It seemed like Briedis was getting closer. I think that was the round I gave him out of the first 6, Briedis. But in the fourth round, Opetaia, to his credit, came back, and at the end of the fourth round, he really did land on Briedis and shook Briedis, in particular with a massive uppercut, which seemed to bust Briedis' nose. Briedis sat down in the corner between the fourth and the fifth round, and there was a lot of blood coming out of his nose. He'd also picked up a nick at the end of the first round, just above the eye, which is no big deal, but it did show that Opetaia he didn't just have a bit of power, he had a good variety of punch. He was using the jab a lot, but he knew when to fire what punch at what time, and he landed that uppercut, split Briedis' nose, and you did think, what's going on here? The favourite is under the cosh here. Well, I gave Opetaia the next 2 rounds, so I had him 5-1 up in rounds. And between the 6th and the 7th, Briedis' corner really jumped on him and said, "Look, you're losing this fight big time. You've got to get out there and really show what a champion you are, because you are losing this fight. You've lost most of the rounds." They were being honest with him, and it did seem to light a fire under his backside, because Briedis flew out, chased after Opetaia, and was having great success in that particular round. I say great success. I mean, he was for the first time, he looked like a champion on a mission. For the first time, he looked like he was putting a game challenger in his place. 8th round, 9th round, similar stuff. Yeah, I think I gave him to Briedis. 10th, I think I gave to Briedis. He was really beginning to rail on Opetaia, who wasn't really backing off. There was a bit of mauling going on. But the physical strength of Briedis, on a couple of occasions, Opetaia ended up on the floor, not from punches, just through the weight of the guy and a bit of wrestling going on. Briedis was, even though he had a badly busted nose, he was beginning to sort of drain Opetaia. And Opetaia, I don't know what round Opetaia's jaw was broken, but clearly that affected him. I did give Opetaia one of the last 3 rounds. I can't remember offhand which one. It was the 10th, I think it was the 11th, actually. 10th was pretty close. The 11th I gave to Opetaia, but in the 12th he was hanging on for dear life, and Briedis was chasing after him. There was a lot of mauling going on. No points were taken, no warnings, I don't think. The referee just let him do it. But by the end of it, he was glad to hear that bell, Opetaia. And had it been a 15-rounder, Briedis would have gone on, I think, to stop him. But we're in the 12-round era, have been for some decades now. Showing my age, aren't I? But I made it 114-114 draw. But Opetaia gets it. Unanimous decision. He is the new IBF World Cruiserweight Champion. Clearly he can fight. Clearly he came of age. Only 27. Needs to get that jaw fixed and then learn from this fight. Because talk about learning at the highest level. But I do think that Briedis, for a while now, has shown his mind's not been on the job. He's the IBF Cruiserweight Champion. Why the hell was he chasing Jake Paul for a fight? Didn't he have a tattoo done or some bullshit nonsense? I mean, oh, good on God. And 37 years old, he's probably looking for a big paycheck, I suppose. But he's lost his belt. 37. Will he carry on? Will he go for a rematch with Opetaia? I don't know. What will Opetaia do? Lawrence Okoli's probably eyeing Opetaia. Wonder if Eddie Hearn can drag him to Britain. That'd be a good fight. That'd be a good fight. But yeah, this is, I guess you could say, a star is born up to a point. But this was a baptism by fire for Jay Opetaia. Well done to him. Briedis will probably scream for a rematch. Would have been interesting to see those cards on neutral turf. But yeah, what did you think of the fight? It was a shock. It was a shocking result, no doubt about it. Turns a cruiserweight division on its head, I suppose. But I've long thought that Briedis was possibly there for the taking. Did I think Opetaia would be the guy to do it? No, I definitely didn't. Definitely not. I didn't know anything about him. But we know about him now. So if you saw the fight, leave your comments below. Again, thank you for your time as always. Like the video if you like the video. Hit the like button, it helps the channel. And if you haven't watched a video of Joe Stunner Boxing before, please hit the subscribe button. Try and build those numbers up. Much appreciated. We'll speak again soon. Until then, what was it, Saturday night? Or no, it's Sunday morning, I think now. So enjoy your Sunday. We'll speak again soon. Take care. Bye for now.